My estranged father died and left me everything. I drove 20 hours to claim it. What I found in that office destroyed everything I thought I knew. I was eating cereal when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Am I speaking to John? I didn't recognize the voice. Depends who's asking. This is Mr. Bellworth. I'm the attorney handling your father's estate. I almost hung up right there. My father's been dead to me for 20 years. Whatever he left, I don't want it. John, your father passed away 3 days ago. He left you everything. We're talking about $876,000. I put my spoon down. However, the will has a condition. You must be present in my office in Scottsdale, Arizona by 5 p.m. tomorrow, or the entire estate goes to charity. Tomorrow? I live in Illinois. That's like a 20-hour drive. Then I suggest you start driving, John. I sat there for a full minute after he hung up. My father, the man who missed every birthday, every graduation, every moment that mattered. Now he wanted me to drop everything and race across the country for his money. Part of me wanted to ignore it out of spite, but $876,000 is life-changing money. I grabbed my keys and walked out the door. The first 6 hours went smooth. I was making good time, running on coffee and adrenaline. Then my car started making a noise, this grinding sound that got louder every mile. I pulled into a service station outside of Kansas, and the mechanic sucked his teeth. Transmission's shot. You ain't going nowhere in this thing. I wanted to scream. I called every rental place within 20 miles. Nothing available. I was about to lose my mind when some guy at the gas pump overheard me. He offered to sell me his beater for $800 cash. It was a terrible deal, but I didn't have a choice. I handed over the money and got back on the road. 4 hours later, I stopped for gas and my card declined. I checked my account. Frozen. I called the bank and they said suspicious activity triggered a hold. I begged them to unlock it, but they needed 24 to 48 hours to verify. I had 11 hours left. I scrounged together whatever cash I had in my wallet. $43. I put it all in the tank and kept driving. Somewhere in New Mexico, I got pulled over. Cop said I was going 15 over. He took his sweet time running my plates while the minutes ticked by. When he finally let me go with a warning, I'd lost almost an hour. I was exhausted, broke, driving a car I didn't trust, and I still had 6 hours to go. Every single thing that could go wrong was going wrong, and I couldn't shake the feeling that none of it was coincidence. I pulled into Scottsdale with 12 minutes to spare. I looked like hell, smelled like it too. I found the building and sprinted to the elevator. When I got to the office, the receptionist didn't even look surprised. She just smiled and said, "He's expecting you." I walked into Mr. Bellworth's office, ready to sign whatever papers I needed to sign. But Bellworth wasn't alone. There was a man sitting in the corner, old, frail, hooked up to an oxygen tank. He looked at me and smiled. "You made it." I felt my knees go weak. I knew that face. I'd seen it in old photos my mother kept hidden. "Dad?" He nodded slowly. "Sit down, son. We have a lot to talk about." I couldn't move. "You're supposed to be dead. The lawyer said you died." I know what he said. I told him to say it. My head was spinning. "Why? Why would you do this?" "Because I needed to know." "Know what?" He leaned forward, eyes locked on mine. "I needed to know if you'd come for me, or just for the money." I didn't have an answer, but I had 1,000 questions, and the biggest one was why Mr. Bellworth was smiling like he knew something I didn't. I stayed in that office for 6 hours. My father told me everything. Bellworth was his firstborn, the son he abandoned before me. When my father tried to come back into my life years ago, Bellworth threatened to destroy us both unless he stayed gone. The car trouble, the frozen account, the cop, all Bellworth. One final attempt to keep me from the truth. I left with the money, a dying father, and a brother who'd spent 20 years making sure I grew up alone, just like he did.